folks, welcome to another review with yours truly, Sam Healy, right here on the Dice Tower. Thank you for joining us. We certainly appreciate it. Today we're going to be taking a look at Origins First Builders. This is a game by Adam Kwapinski with the solo mode by David Terzi. It is for 1 to 4 players, and it has a play time of about an hour to 2 hours. Let's get to the table and take a look, shall we? So here I have a 2-player game of Origins First Builders set up for you, and basically the game is a round-based games where the players are going to be taking turns doing actions throughout the course of the game. Once both players or all the players have passed or are out of actions to do, then you'll move on to another round, and so forth and so on. There are exactly 4 things that will trigger the end of the game. The first thing is that if one player gets all 3 of their markers up to the top of these tracks, then that will trigger the end of the game. If there are any one color of dice that is completely out when we have to refill this offer, that will trigger the end of the game. When there are no more gold coins at the tops of these temple cards, that will trigger the end of the game. And the last thing that could trigger the end of the game is when there are 3 or fewer colors of tower tokens left in the game. That will trigger the end of the game. At the end of that round, when any of these triggers fire off, the game will end and you do final scoring. Whoever has the most points is the winner. Now, the different things that you can do during the course of a round is you can send your dice workers out here to have an encounter with the aliens that are helping you build your civilization. You can also close a district, which is over here. Everybody's going to be adding these building tiles here into their districts, and once you have a grouping of 4, you can actually close it off by putting one of your dice in here. We'll get to explaining that a little bit further later on. You can also build up a tower level on your palace, and basically you would do that by using these tower tokens over here and simply paying an amount of gold equal to the current level of the tower and then adding 1 to it. That's building a tower level. And then you can also grow your population. You start with 2 workers, and the way that you get more workers is by growing your population, and you basically have to spend wheat food in order to do that. Once you pay 2 wheat here, you're able to unlock another one here, 4 wheat, 6 wheat, and so forth and so on. So those are the 4 things that you can do during the course of your turn. Let's go ahead and explain each one of those in a little bit more detail. Now, one of the things that you're going to be doing most of the time is you're going to be sending your workers out here to these different encounter stations in order to generate different actions or abilities that you can do. Now, you have these 2 that are each at the top of the stations, and you can basically, when you go here, you can pick one or the other one to carry out that action. But let's say that you send the same color worker to the spot where you're going. You can pick to do one of these 2 plus the bonus action that's down there. In order to go there for free and not have to pay any extra, your die has to be equal to or greater than the level of the encounter that is shown on the disc here. So if it were at 1 or 2, I'd be okay with sending a 2 level die there. If it's at 3 or higher, I basically have to spend knowledge, which is this symbol right here, equal to the difference. So if I'm sending a 2 to a 3 level encounter, then I would have to spend 1 knowledge and send my 2 out there. So if you want to go for free, you have to make sure that the die is equal to the number here, but you can still go there even if it isn't. So for example, here I'm sending my 2 out to a level 1 encounter, so I can either get 3 knowledge or I can spend 1 stone to go up to on one of the temple tracks. That's what these 2 things are, so I can choose to do one of those 2 other ones. Then, since I'm sending a yellow one out here, I can also choose to take 1 basic resource of my choice, either wheat, stone, or knowledge. Once I've done the encounter here, then this will click up 1, and that will be the end of my action for that turn. Now, some of the other things that are out here, just to explain the different things that are going on, this will get you 3 stone, or you can move 1 up on the military track and attack if you wish, and we'll explain those things later on. The bonus action here is spending 1 stone to go up 1 on one of the temple tracks down there. Over here, you get in 3 wheat, or you can add a building to your district. And then you can also take, with the bonus action, if you send an orange worker to this location, you can also take 1 of the speaker dice that is on the board as well. We've already explained these over here. You'll be able to take 1 resource of your choice from the basics and 1 gold, or you can take a new citizen die from the offer of your choice. But you'll have to spend knowledge equal to wherever the die you want is located. The bonus action for purple here is you can spend a wheat to build a building in your district of your choice. Over here, you can take 1 each of all of the basic resources, or you can spend 1 to 3 wheat to add levels to your worker, your citizen dice, or move up on the military track in any combination of you want. If you sent a red die to this action, you could spend 1 knowledge to either move up on the military track or attack one or the other. And since we talked about the military track and building buildings, we're going to go ahead and mention those sites, those parts of the board as well. The buildings are over here, and then the stacks of the buildings that they're coming from are over here. They don't match because during setup, these are randomly chosen to go out on each of these different spots, but each of these stacks are the same color. So these are all red buildings, these are all orange, these are all yellow, and so forth and so on. But where they come out is dependent upon how these buildings are bought and where from. So, for example, if I wanted to build this statue right here, I would have to pay 1 knowledge and 1 stone in order to build that. So I would take this, put it into my district, and then each of these would move up like this. And then since I took from this spot, a new orange one would come out like so, and then this would be flipped over. But you just remember that you have to pay the knowledge cost plus whatever the stone cost is for the building to add to your district. Moving up on the military track is shown over here. So for every time you move up 1, you'll go to the next circle space that's on the track, skipping over these spaces. Whenever you skip a space like that, you'll be able to take one of these superiority tokens, and they can be used for different things throughout the course of the game, but we'll talk about that later on. Attacking is where you're going to be. For example, let's say that I was up here like this and blue was up here like this. So what's going to happen here is that I'm going to attack. I'll get a number of points equal to how far ahead of blue I am, and I'll move up that on the victory point track. But then I'll also get the reward that is wherever my disc is located at that specific moment in time. So if I attacked right now, I would get 2 points, and I would also get a wheat to go into my reserve. Now, moving up the temple tracks are located over here, and so when you move up 1 or 2 on the temple track, you simply choose a temple that you're going to move up on. And so if I'm here and I choose to move up 2, I'll go 1, 2, just like that. Then, as you're moving up the course of the temple track, these are a number of points that you're going to be scoring at the end of the game. But the idea is that you're going to take the lower 2 of the 3. So, for example, if I'm up here like here, and this one is here, and I have this one all the way up here, well, I'm not going to score 70 points, but I am going to score 32 points because this is where my lowest 2 temples are. Another cool thing about the temple track is that when you do move up on the tracks here, you're going to be able to take a special ability that's going to help you out through the course of your round. So this has long-term effects in that it's going to score you points at the end of the game, but it also has short-term effects, which means that these little cards are going to be coming into your possession. And the last thing that really needs to be talked about are the tower cards and the tower discs that are out here on the board. So basically, whenever someone decides to close a district, and we'll talk about that in a few moments, as long as they can match the pattern that's on these cards out here that will stay out for the entire game, as long as they can match these patterns, they'll be able to score a number of points equal to the bottoms of the card. There are 2 points here. The larger one is scored the first time you're able to make that match of a pattern. The second number is every time after that first time that you make the same pattern, you'll be able to score the lower number of points. But another thing that you do is whenever you score this, the first person to score this will be able to take all of the gold that's associated with that card. Whenever you're building up your tower on your palace, your towers on your palace, these are the discs that you're going to be able to use, and they are a finite amount of tower tokens that are out here. So when these are gone, you can't build up that particular color. Also, reminder, this is one of those game-ending triggers when there are 3 or fewer colors of tiles that are available, or tokens rather, that are available. And the last thing that's part of the board is the citizen die offer and the speaker die offer. So sometimes when you have, for example, like this special ability right here, this bonus ability allows you to take a speaker die, you simply choose which one you want to take and it becomes yours for the round. And it's not added to it's never added to one of your trays, but it just becomes a die that you can use as a, basically it can go to any of these locations, but you'll never be able to get the bonus action at any of the encounter locations using a speaker die. It just gives you the ability to go somewhere else to get one of the basic actions that's available to you. You can add new citizen dice to your district if you have an available tray where you have paid the food, grown your population. You can add a citizen die to that open tray now by paying the amount of wisdom that's down there. When it is paid, for example, if I chose to buy this one, these 3 would be moved down. Another yellow one would be rolled, and now that one becomes there, and this comes and is put into that available tray. So that's how the citizen die offer works. Now, let's say later on in the game, I did want to give an explanation about how to close off one of your districts. So first of all, you have to have a citizen die that's available in your area here. It can't be at an encounter station or anything like that. It has to be available right here. So basically you haven't used it in your round yet. So you're basically going to take that die and you're going to place it in one of the junctions of a closed area. When you close off a district like that, you're basically locking that die in and it's going to score you points at the end of the game. Now, when I close a district, I can check to see if I match of one of the tower cards. If I have, then I'm going to be able to score points, whether it's the first time or the second time, based on those points shown on the card. So here, I am able to do it because if I go like this, then I have blue, orange, blue, like that, and I'm able to do it. So this will actually score me 15 points, and I'd be able to also get the 2 gold that was on top of that card if I was the first person to get a match with that combination. Now, when I place a die here, this is going to close down that district. I can't change this die at any point later on. What I will be able to do is I'll be able to then fire off district tiles or building tiles that match the color of the die. So I'd be able to fire off the ability of this statue, I'd be able to advance 1 step on a chosen temple track, and then I'd be able to also fire off this obelisk where it says gain 1, 2, 4, or 7 victory points for having 1, 2, 3, or 4 plus obelisks in your city. So at this point, I only have 1 obelisk in my city, so I can gain 1 point for firing that off. Then at the end of the game, this die is going to multiply itself by the level of the blue tower on my palace and give me that number of points at the end of the game. So with this one blue die, I'm going to do 6 times 3, which is 18 points at the end of the game from that one die. But that's why it's important to close off your districts so you can score a lot of points at the end of the game. So that's about that for Origins First Builders. I didn't do any, basic run-throughs of a round or anything like that, but I think I showed you enough of each of the different things that you can do in the game so that you can pretty much piece it all together and kind of get a good feel about how the game will flow. One of the things that I said I was going to talk about that I didn't get back to are these superiority tokens. When you pass those places on the military track, you're able to gain one of these superiority tokens, and you can use that to basically take another action on your turn. You can even use it as soon as you get it to automatically do another action if you wish, but that's what superiority tokens do, but that's pretty much it. I do have to say that this is, it really isn't. There isn't a whole lot of things going on in the game. I was going to say that this is kind of a kitchen sink type game where it has a lot going on, but there isn't a whole lot going on, but it feels like there is. And that's one of the things that I just want to say off the bat. There's really only 5 different things that you're going to be able to do on your turn. So it's not like you're going to be trying to delineate in your mind what would be the best of 10 different options at any given point in time. So it's not really an everything in the kitchen sink type of game, but it kind of feels like it. And we'll get to why it feels like that, at least for my opinion, in a little bit. But I do want to say that I did enjoy this game. It's probably a little bit on the heavier side for something that I want to play a lot. But I did also play the solo mode. And the solo training mode by David Terzi is basically a way for you to kind of practice playing the game and gauge how well you're learning the game based on a number of points that they give you in a table. It's a fun solo mode because it does replicate the experience of a multiplayer game. With the solo mode, there isn't a whole lot of other stuff going on. You don't have to do a whole lot of other things to keep track of an AI player or anything like that. Most of the game is just spent you doing your thing as you would in a normal multiplayer game. And so I like that about the solo training mode. They do have, I believe at this point, a downloadable AI player mode where you actually play against the AI. I've not downloaded that, but I believe that you can do that by going to boardanddice.com and downloading it there. Now, my final thoughts on these reviews are usually my pros and cons, and so that's what we're going to do. My first pro here is that it has dice worker placement. I love dice worker placement games. I think they're very fun. I think it provides a kind of a neat spin on just worker placement. Because the level of dice, the level of pips that are showing on the die usually delineate different places that worker can go. And I like that delineation. The fact that these workers they can do anything. They can go anywhere, but they're really good when they're sent to the space that matches their color. So if you send a red die to the blue encounter space, it can do some basic stuff and it can do some things that are cool. But if you send that red die to the red encounter space, you're really going to be able to do some cool stuff in addition to all the basic stuff that any other die would be able to do there. One of the other things that I didn't mention during the game are the counselors. And these guys here basically act as a wild number of any color. And that's a pretty cool thing because once you start retiring some of these dice that are coming back, they level up every single time they come back off of the board. And once you have a 6 that's supposed to level up back to a 1, it becomes an advisor. And so the more advisor dice you have on your player board gives these guys a lot of diversity in the encounter stations that they can really go and exploit for you. So that's another cool thing about the game that ties into that whole dice worker placement thing. I love worker placement games. I like dice worker placement games even better. And the fact that they all have their kind of really cool spots that they can go to, but they can also go to all the other ones and still do something for you. I really like that. The fact that they level up and can be used as advisors later on that will bump up your counselors. I really enjoy the dice worker placement aspect, and it's my biggest pro of the game by far. Now, my second pro of the game is more on the thematic vein of talking about the game, and that is I like the theme. I think it's an interesting theme that goes along with it. You know, it kind of plays off of that Stargate, that idea that somebody had to help the Egyptians build the pyramids, all of this kind of stuff, and the fact that they're kind of leaning into that, and these are different alien races that are coming to help you build your civilization. I really think that's a great theme to build itself around. But on top of that, that leads me into my third pro of the game, and that is the graphic design and the artwork really implemented that theme really well, in my opinion, because a lot of the artwork on the cards, it's very historical. It shows the buildings as they would have, as they were made, and as we know they looked, but some of the graphic design choices throughout the course of the game, and even on the box here, as you can see, you know, it has people using different kinds of technology to build all of these different things that were, of course, provided by the alien races that were consulting. So I love the fact that the aesthetic quality, the great artwork, the great graphic design, and while we're talking about graphic design, the fact that there are just a few icons that really are used well and efficiently throughout the game, I really enjoy that as well, because I didn't have to memorize an iconography table or anything like that. It's very intuitive and it made sense, and so the graphic design and the artwork really implemented the theme well. So my second and third pro kind of go together, but they are different. My fourth pro of the game is that the component quality is really good. The cards have a nice linen finish to them. All of the cardboard tokens are nice, thick, and chunky. I love the player boards that have cutout spots for all of the different dice and all of the different citizen trays and all of that kind of stuff. I love, love, love all of the component quality that is here. The dice are a little bit angular than I like them to be, but I'll give them a free pass on that because that's really just a nitpick for me personally. Now, there is one thing that I showed you, and I do need to mention it. These ships, these encounter stations, came just these plastic, that color plastic. I went ahead and painted them a silver, gave them a little bit of a distressed look, and then painted the dice and the pips on top the color that they are supposed to be. So that's a modification that I made to this copy of the game. All of the other ones, the base copies of the games will come with stations that are just plastic, the color that they are supposed to be. So I didn't really like that part of the components. I thought that was a little bit wonky. It was just very startling to have all of those different colors popping out at you on the board. That's really the only downside of the component quality. It's really good component quality. I just had to make that one slight modification for my own personal interests. And then finally, my last pro, my fifth pro for the game is that it really flows well for how much is going on in the game. And I really like that about games. Sometimes the heavier a game gets, in my opinion, the more clunky it gets as well. It's like, okay, you got to do this, and then you got to stop and do this, and then you got to do more, and then you got to stop and do this, and then you got to do more. No, wait. Now we have to do all of this over here. Okay, now we can get back to playing the game. That's what usually heavy games feel like. This one doesn't suffer from that at all. You almost maybe feel like you might be falling behind because it is flowing so well, and it does go so fast during the course of a round because each of the different actions are very almost kind of compartmentalized. They're easy to get them done, and they don't take a whole lot of time. So there isn't a whole lot of downtime in the game either. So that's what I really liked about it. It flows well, and it carries its weight very well for how much is going on in the game. So that's my 5th Pro. Now, as far as cons are concerned, I do have 2 of them. My first con is that you really do have to have your hands in almost everything in order to have a chance at doing well. And I don't necessarily like it when games do that. They kind of make you do a little bit of everything so that you can kind of have a chance at winning. And if you don't do well enough at everything, then you're just not going to do very well. And I don't like it when games do that. I would much rather be able to pick my path to victory rather than have to do a little bit of everything in order to do well. So take that for what it's worth. Almost on that same coin, I wouldn't say the other side of it, but maybe the other half of that side is that if you let people dominate any aspect of the game, you're basically giving them the game. And that's my other con. It does have a very strong, at least in my opinion again, this is my review, remember, it has a very strong the rich get richer, especially true for the military track. If you allow somebody to kind of take off on the military track and nobody is really trying to keep up to them, then you're going to find out that they're going to start running away with a lot of different things. So, but that can also be true with running away with the temple tracks. Having one person get more of the towers built up on their palace than anybody else, that's going to score them a lot of points at the end of the game. So it's just that feeling of letting people run away with one particular aspect of the game really can kind of tilt the scales in their favor for being able to win at the end of the game. I know that's probably true of many games, but it seems like it's super true of this one. So that's another con for me. As far as a rating is concerned, I'm going to give this one 7 out of 10. I really did enjoy the game, and which was a kind of a surprise. When I first started reading how to play this game and pulled it out, I was really kind of apprehensive because it seemed like it was going to be just outside of my wheelhouse, but I really did enjoy the game. I really did enjoy the solo mode as well because it very well mirrored the multiplayer experience that you get from the game. So I did like the game as it was, which was a surprise to me, and it's a pleasant surprise to me. So I'm going to give it 7 out of 10 for here on the Dice Tower. If you're watching on the flip side, we do thumbs up. So I would probably give this a very strong 1 thumb up, and the only reason it's not 2 is because you probably need to play it first to see if the weight of the game and the complexity of the game is for you. But if you can handle that, then I think this is one that you should give a strong look to in order to pick it up. So that is that for Origins First Builders. Thank you for joining me. We'll see you guys on the flip side. Take care.